Hello and welcome. You're with IndiaPostLive.com, India's first live interactive web television. This is your very own platform where you can engage with us, talk to us as we discuss our issues. You can write into us at IndiaPostLive.com. You can send us your video comments and of course send us your tweets at #IndiaPostLive and @IndiaPostLive. Today we are going to feature a journalist who decided to not just be a journalist, but actually be the voice of people who have been ignored for far too long. Using a very indigenous and a unique method, he has given the voice of the people living deep in the forests of Chhattisgarh. He has given them a voice that has reached across to the world. So much so that Shubhranshu Choudhary has won this year's Digital Activism Award, and he edged out none other than American whistleblower Edward Snowden. So without wasting much time, let me introduce Shubhranshu Choudhary to you. He joins us on India Post Live. Thank you so much, Shubhranshu, for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks a lot. Before we go ahead with the show, let's bring you a small audio visual on what this entire project CGNet Swara, which uses internet and the mobile phone network to give a voice to so many people. Let's show you a small audio visual on what that is all about. Take a look.
Journalist Shubhranshu Choudhary's story is one that inspires many. When Choudhary, a former BBC journalist, returned to his native land of Chhattisgarh to cover a Maoist-Police conflict, he realized that the indigenous people needed to tell their stories to the world. Choudhary then started CGNet Swara, world's first cell phone-based news and current affairs network. CGNet Swara enables people of the land to report and discuss issues that matter most to them. In the 4 years, CGNet Swara has transformed the way news is being produced and shared among the tribal communities of central India. The success of CGNet Swara earned Choudhary the 2014 Google Digital Activism Award, edging out renowned American whistleblower Edward Snowden.
All right, so as we just saw in that audiovisual, it's the people who have become the media.
Yes, like it has happened in politics. Earlier we used to have only kings and queens who will decide what is good for us. And that changed. If you look at whole world, slowly but steadily we have moved
from monarchy to democracy.
But that has not happened in journalism.
Yes.
We have some people like you and I, we sit in these top places and we decide what is news. And we felt that that needs to change. There are many problems which we love to report, we journalists, but many problems may vanish if we can create a communication platform which is democratic, which is two-way, which is bottom-up. Like last person in India or anywhere in democracy, in political democracy, has equal voice. I may be the richest person and the poorest person also has same say in deciding what is good today, what will be good tomorrow. But that is not the case in communication. A small number of people who are nearer or who control the platforms of communication, they have too much voice. And a huge number of people where now I live, they hardly have any voice. So when the voices are not heard, they throw stones, and that's what we call problem. So there are many problems, but if you look from a communication point of view, journalism point of view, we are also to be blamed, and we should do our bit. And that's what this whole project is all about. We have now new technologies. Mobile phone is a revolution. You go to any corner of this country.
It's so empowering.
Remotest part of the country, people don't have water, people don't have road, people don't have electricity, but they have mobile phone.
Yes.
Sometimes I used to wonder that they don't even have a mobile signal in those villages. So they walk long distance to charge their phone. They walk up hills or somewhere they will go where there is signal. So this we must use.
How did this idea come across to you? I mean, we just, you know, briefly in a few seconds told the story of how as a BBC journalist you had gone to cover the Maoist problem in Chhattisgarh, which is where you hail from also, right? You grew up there. So how did this idea strike you that it need not be just another headline story, there's something more that needs to be done? How did that
So
come
there was
about?
a difference this time. I used to be a war correspondent, means that was not my designation, but while working in BBC for South Asia in 90s, it was all but war. You
Yes.
just hop from Afghanistan to Kashmir to Sri Lanka, Nepal, everywhere it was just war and conflict. But this conflict was a bit different because, as you said, I grew there. I spent first 20 years of my life there. So all these terrorists were actually my classmates. So after we finish our stories, I'll spend a long time talking with them. And the whole idea came from them. They started telling me things like this. This is not a Maoist problem. I said, hang
Really?
on, I just met the chief. I interviewed, so many guns around, so many people in green fatigue. They said, no, this is a break of communication problem.
Okay.
If you democratize your communication, yes, there are Maoists. There are Maoists who are giving leadership to small problems which are not getting solved because of a faulty communication system we have. So they said it's a very aristocratic system because you guys sit somewhere in Kasturba Gandhi Marg in Delhi and decide what is good for us. There's no representation. You don't understand us. You don't understand our language. You don't visit us because it's very difficult to reach us. Like if you look at Adivasis, the indigenous people in central India, 100 million of them. But you will hardly find any journalist from that community.
Yes.
You will hardly find any journalist who understand any of the languages these people speak. So there is absolutely no communication, no understanding, no intelligence about that whole world. Now 100 million is much bigger than many countries in Europe.
Absolutely.
So they have become foot soldier of this problem, quote unquote, who are giving them a direction, but they don't understand what is Maoism and what they are fighting for. They are fighting for their simple things, simple needs,
So
which
it's
can
a
be
livelihood
solved.
issue, is it? It's
Also a livelihood issue. So like if I get 90% of my income from a forest, you take away that forest. So I will fight for that.
Naturally.
If I am based on that land which gives me my livelihood, you take away that land for something, I'll fight for that. So these are issues, and there are laws in this country which helps these people or should help these people. But because they don't have voice, because, I mean, they have a voice, but their voice is not heard, these problems are not getting solved. And small looking many problems, when they get together and get leadership from someone, we journalists start calling the leaders as the problem. There are 2 Maoists and 98 people who are giving them support from the back. I always say there are more Maoists in Delhi than in forests of Bastar. But the only difference is, no, I'm not joking.
Okay.
These 5 people don't get support of the 95 people here because we have some faith in the system. We have hope. Okay, things may not be good, but it will become better, or there is possibility. But as you very rightly said, that these 98 people, for far too long, we have not only ignored them, we have never heard.
You've never heard their voices, absolutely.
So Maoists have done only 2 things. They have learned their language and they live with them. So they have solved the problem of distance and language. And that's what we are trying to do in this experiment, That
CGNet Swara. Tell us about that. What
so
exactly?
a last person,
Yeah.
imagine a woman in a place called Dantewada, which is, maybe 5 days walk to reach, not Dantewada town. And she has something to share. She has some complaint, some problem. Who should she go? We have not found any collector or any officer who understands her language. I've told about journalists, same is with police officers. So what she does now, she has a phone now.
Okay.
But phone is a personal communication tool. So, and what we are looking for is mass communication. What we are looking for, creating a community with the help of communication where we help each other solve our problems. Or just listening to also helps.
Of course.
If I have a problem, if you
Just
hear
to
me
share.
out.
Yeah.
So this woman now, what she does, so what we have done, the rocket science, is we have connected mobile phone to internet.
Okay.
So the internet which we have in our, which we call server in a city.
Okay. And where is the city?
It's in Bhopal.
In Bhopal, okay.
And it is connected with a mobile phone. So to reach an internet, you also need to have an internet. So it's like caste system. A Brahmin can only talk to a Brahmin. So if I have an internet, I can reach you.
Right.
But if I am on mobile phone, I can't reach an internet. So I can't take all the facilities which is there in the internet. So what we have done, the rocket science, is we have linked internet with a little modem in the middle with a mobile phone. So this woman now has a phone number.
She has a phone number. She has a SIM card and an instrument.
Yes, so it's a normal phone.
Yeah.
But what she can do is she can call the phone number of our computer.
Okay.
When she calls,
Yeah.
it gets connected to the computer.
Okay.
It's like an answering machine.
Okay.
Simple answering machine.
I'm trying to understand. Yeah. Okay.
Which gives you two options.
Yeah.
While we are communicating, we do two things. We speak or we listen. So it gives you two options. Says if you want to speak, press 1. If you want to listen, press 2.
Okay.
She wants to tell a story, so she presses 1 and tells her story in her own language.
Okay. And that language would be the
Any language.
local dialect of.
Yes, so say
Gondi.
Dantewada, this is Gondi,
Gondi,
because they are Gond tribals.
Yeah.
So this message gets recorded on computer.
Okay.
And once it is in computer, now geography is history. You can be anywhere. You
Yes,
can be,
of course,
You can be in US, you can be in Delhi, you can be in Timbuktu. If you have internet connection and you are part of us, you can hear that message which came in. So then we have volunteers who will listen to this message. Now, if it is in Gondi, we need a Gondi volunteer who will translate it. Not only that, we cross-check, verify that somebody is not making misuse of this platform. So you do the normal journalistic part of it, translate it in major languages like in Hindi and English for that part of the world, and then put it out. So when you put it out, it goes to internet. So the world who is on internet, like people who are on Facebook, on Twitter, on email listservs, they immediately get that message which came from that woman. And secondly, like as I said, when she calls, she gets two options.
Two options to listen.
In the same way, if anybody calls after that, and if they press 2, they will be able to hear her story, what she is telling.
Okay.
And sometimes we also translate it in Hindi so that more people can understand. So this way the news or information is coming from people.
From the deepest corners, from the deepest echelons of that forest, for instance, and going to the world through internet.
Going to the world, going to people. So
Going
it's
to people,
like that same democratization we are talking about, of the people, by the people, for the people. So there are, the key is ownership of the platform. See, you need to have, or you will have to use tools.
Of course, you
which
need money for it.
People own. So mobile phone.
You need funding for it, Shubhranshu. I mean,
Yes.
How did that happen?
At the moment, we are 100% a funded experiment because we are still an experiment. See, a major part of this experiment is radio.
I was coming to that. I was coming to community radio. Because community radio is again something that has given a voice to people. People can, you know, even if it's a 5-kilometer radius, people can talk to each other. People are sharing their, that is a thing that is a positive in many communities. So how would you, have you thought of, you know, involving community radio in this project or linking it?
We started with that.
Okay.
And we burnt our fingers. So, no, let me not
really?
Go there. Yes, radio is a very powerful medium.
Yes,
and
I'm a huge fan of radio, so sorry.
Every technology has its plus and minus.
Yes.
I am too. So when we started working in 2004, first 5 years we worked on community radio. When it didn't work, then only we started thinking of mobile phone.
Okay.
It's not the fault of radio. It's the problem is with the legal structure we have in this country. As you very rightly said, community radios have 5-kilometer range. So in the areas we work, as I said, 100 million people. So 100 million people, you know, can't live in small place. So it's a huge area. So we need big radio stations. We need short wave. We need medium wave. FM, which is allowed in this country, is an urban phenomenon. It can reach maximum 50 kilometers. It's very good for an urban audience. So this model is needs 3 technologies: mobile phone to report, internet to manage that information, and radio to listen.
Right.
Then only it will become a sustainable model, which we are not at the moment.
Right.
We need funding at the moment.
Okay, okay.
But when the...
So that is why it's so difficult to catch you and bring you into our studio.
Yes, I'm the chief beggar.
You're the chief beggar.
I just...
All right, thank you. That has been clarified for us. You're the chief beggar. All right. Let me get Rajat online. He joins us from Ranchi, Shubhranshu, and he's a young filmmaker. Hi, Rajat.
Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me?
It's a pleasure for me to hear such a great personality, because I was knowing him when I read his article, on him, an article on the Hindu. So his work in that region, in Chhattisgarh region, was amazing, and I was very interested in that.
So we've kind of, you know, I started the show with him explaining how the technology works and what exactly happens. So if there's anything as a filmmaker that you would like to ask him, Rajat?
Yeah, yes. I was like thinking, like bringing out the problem was is itself a big achievement. Like we are connecting them to the mainstream development, like just by bringing out their problems. But my question is like how you are thinking about sorting out those problems?
Fantastic. Very, very good question, Rajat. Like I said...
In a Maoist-infested area with hardly any state administration. Let me add those 2 points to your question.
Yes,
how does that woman who is telling her story, how does she get a solution?
So, not in all cases, but in many cases, we are able to find solution. As I said, see, like community word comes from communication. If there is communication, then only we are a community. But as those, you know, top terrorists told me, there's a break of communication. If I'm hungry, you have food, and I don't understand, we don't understand each other, we can't help each other. So what we are trying to do here is improving that communication. There are many good officers, there are many good journalists, many good police officers, but there is a break of communication. And what we request, we do trainings of all these people who report. None of them are journalists. They are, you know, we don't even call them citizen journalists. They are just citizens. They are telling their stories. We request them that don't only tell about your problem. If you're telling about a problem, also give us a point of action. What do we do? I don't live at Dantewada. If somebody is calling from, say, Jharkhand, I can't go to Jharkhand to help you. I am there on internet or I am there on phone. So if you go to our website and look for those messages which people are sending out, if it is related to a problem, they also tell a telephone number of an officer often, that call this officer. Like if you go to our website from Jharkhand, there was a Orao tribe village in Chatra district in Jharkhand. They called one day saying, we don't have a school and our children need to go far off and there is rivers to cross, so they can't go in monsoon. So and so is our officer who is responsible for this. We have been petitioning this officer for too long and nothing has happened. Can you guys please call and pressurize? Yesterday we heard that there is a school now in that village. So
wow.
How did this happen?
Wow.
So when this story went out on internet, people in Hyderabad, in Delhi, in outside world as well.
Yeah.
I know of some stories where people sitting in New Jersey has made buses reach to villages, have made, one guy from US has entirely changed one village in Chhattisgarh which had nothing. There was a story of 2 women dying of while childbirth in 2 consecutive months because that village was up in the hill, there was no road, there was nothing. When he heard, this is a tribe called Pahadi Korwa, they are very primitive, live in far off areas. When he heard this story, he called up the collector whose number was given there. And collector said, okay, let me have a look. And today if you go, there is a road, it is not ready yet. The road is getting built, now they have school, they have wells, they have school building.
A dispensary, I hope.
I think dispensary is coming. So this is a linkage between, we call rural activist and urban activist. As I said, these technologies have their plus and minus. Mobile is very strong in something, very weak in something. Mobile has reach, but it is very expensive. It is a one-way or two-way tool only.
Right.
It's not one-to-many, it is one-to-one.
One-to-one, yeah.
Internet is very powerful, but it has no reach in countries like India. Radio is only one way, but it is free if you establish it once. So you'll have to mix and match.
Absolutely.
In the same way, if you look at rural India and urban India, we both have strengths and weaknesses. The rural people, they know what is going on. They know the local language, but they don't know who to reach to solve this problem. We in urban India, we know English, we know the right people, the officers, the people like you who can make film, but we don't travel often to these remote areas. Even if we travel, we don't know the language, we don't understand. So if you connect these two, so rural people raise the issue, urban people take it to the authorities, and if you go to our website, we are
Please
a very...
tell us the name of your website.
So it is CGNet and then Swara, Swara means voice, swara.org.
CGNetSwara.org, okay.
And if there's a page called Impact, so if you just go there, so you will see today also there was one impact story.
How many people do you have with you in this? Because what you told us involves a lot of work, a lot of networking with the local administration, with the people of the villages. So how many people are involved with you really?
So around a couple of dozen people who are working full time now.
That's it?
And what we do is, so 3 types of work. One is you'll have to train people to report. You need to tell them that about this platform, that we don't need to remain limited only to our village.
Right.
We can make a bigger community with the help of this tool, which all of us now have in our pocket. Not all of us, but many of us. So, and we train them not through conventional way. We go to them. Earlier we used to bring them to cities to teach them like we do in cities. Now we have made dance, drama, puppet shows, and we go from village to village and tell them about that. This new tool you have, which you use to talk to your brother and sister and mother, you can also talk to the world and you can tell your own story. You don't need to wait for others to come and tell your story.
Wow.
In your own language, pick up your phone and tell your stories. These are oral communities. Like, for us, it is very easy to write.
Yeah.
They feel more comfortable, speaking. So they are picking up very fast. And the second part is, once these stories come out on internet, you need to listen to them, cross-check and verify. So we are looking for volunteers there who can be anywhere if you know a language, if you want to give some time. So please contact us. And the third part, which you just said, is reaching to the right people.
Yeah.
So we need that work. We are very, very, very poor. We need to find urban volunteers. And you have 2 minutes in your lunchtime. You have 5 minutes in a day. Come to our website, and we need to improve on our website as well. We need to, we need help there as well. You want to make a phone call. You want to send an email to one officer. So how these impacts or changes are happening, that okay, this person called, there is no school, or there is a school but teacher never comes. And he or she gives the number of the officer. Now, that officer is also, maybe he's a crook, maybe he's not. Maybe he never got to know that this problem exists. So what these people, urban activists will do, they will call this officer, and not only call, they try to find out who are the officers above and below, and copy your email to 10 people. When
it's as simple as that actually, but that can make such a huge difference
in these people's lives.
It can actually make a huge difference.
What I was talking about, Maoist problem, it sounds very sexy for us to report, but it is a mixture or combination of these small problems. When you make one school run, when you send hospital, a doctor to a hospital, you are actually stopping that community from becoming a live bomb.
Yeah.
Becoming future terrorist.
Right.
So
how do you really, you called yourself a chief beggar, so I'm going to take off from there. More than just the funding, even telling people about it, convincing people that this works, this can work, that must have been a very daunting task for you, isn't it?
But that's very important work.
Yeah, of course.
I call it Kathak dance, so I do Kathak dance about our work, so that's why I'm here. It's very important. So support not only monetarily,
of course,
but with time, because the model we want to make is 5% full-time people, 95% volunteers. See, like all these reporters, we call it journalism of concern.
We live in a society, Shubhranshu, if I can just interrupt you, let me give you a personal angst of mine. I mean, I'm personally very committed to this issue of human trafficking, where places where livelihoods are being lost, women, young girls are so vulnerable for human trafficking. I have had instances, and I know people who've had instances where they have gone and told their editors about a girl who has been sold or trafficked by her own uncle, by her husband, by her father. The editor's like, "Isme naya kya hai?"
So we have been solving these problems.
What you said, what you talked about, what is news? The people who decide what is news. So for journalists like us who have a certain kind of social responsibility, who feel that these stories also must be told, very difficult to tell those stories.
It is now quite easy.
Yeah.
So like people being sold, I'll tell you about one story. There's a district called Malkangiri in Odisha.
Malkangiri, of course.
And people were going, boys and girls, were going to Chennai to work. And they got abducted in the middle. And one of our friend who saw them, so he saw two people crying in the middle of the forest. He asked them, "What is your problem?" And it was very difficult for him to communicate because they were speaking a tribal language. He didn't understand. He recorded their voice.
Oh.
It was around 8 o'clock in the morning.
Wow, okay.
We put that out.
Okay.
And by 12 o'clock, the other four, those who were abducted, were released. See,
wow.
Internet is very powerful.
Yes.
So we found out how this happened.
These are stories that give you energy, right?
Absolutely. So that is, so it went on Facebook, and it went to a very powerful officer who is in Delhi, or was in Delhi at that time. And he was collector of that district. He immediately called up the collector of both the districts. And they got active, and they got rescued. We have stories like people who became bonded laborers, who were sold. Now, many of them have phone, sex workers. migrant workers. They may not have many things, but many of them now have mobile phones.
Mobile phones, yeah.
So if they know about these kind of platforms, or we should create more platforms.
Awareness
like this.
is what is, I think, the most important thing, what you said. You know, only then can people know where exactly to call, right? Rajat, is there anything else? Shubhranshu has another meeting to go to. I have to let him go.
Now my perspective about this initiative is like the kind of NGOization we are facing. So the eager activists are drifting towards like they are becoming like cadre of corporate social responsibilities. So I think this initiative is helping those eager activists in directly helping or directly working with the people who need help. So I just want to ask you, like, am I right or wrong? And another thing, what I want to ask you is, like, how do you see this initiative in further future? Because what are the technologies you are going to come up with? So I'm curious about it.
This is spreading in other states also. I was in fact going to ask you, CG Swara is not just limited to Chhattisgarh now, isn't it?
Yes.
It is spreading to Bihar and Jharkhand and...
Yes, so please come and make a film about our work.
Yes, Rajat, you must.
And please join us.
And I'll come with you, if you allow me.
So let me come to your question about NGOization, and that's what we don't want to do. We are a NGO at the moment. We are 100% funded because we are still an experiment
project,
and we cannot complete our experiment because of legal restrictions on radio. The next meeting I go to is All India Radio, where we are trying to persuade them to work with us.
Right.
So what we want is to create a model which is self-sustainable. So what I was saying, that all the reporters, if you call them reporters, we are not linked with them with money. They report because they are concerned about that, whatever is happening.
Yeah.
So it's journalism of concern. You pick up your phone and you'll have to spend your money. If you want to go and report live, you'll have to go with spending your own money. So you're concerned, that's why you're reporting. Second are the people who are in the middle, and they can be from anywhere. So from, you may be sitting in Ranchi, I may be sitting in Delhi, you may be sitting in New Jersey. So we need volunteers. And internet and mobile has helped us do activism in small amount of time. Earlier, if you were an activist, or if you wanted to do,
it takes a few seconds now, actually.
It needed more time. You need to go to physically somewhere, to a hospital. Now, in a coffee break, you have 5 minutes. You can do something. You can make a phone call. You can make an email, find out about something. So doing voluntary work, doing good,
is not as difficult as it was earlier. Am I right?
Absolutely.
It's not as difficult. You can sit on your chair and just send out an email to the collector that, boss, this is a problem, isn't it? I mean, so it's
so
as easy as that.
If we want a better future, if we want to have a
that is the kind of
world,
motivation that I think through our program on India Post Live, I hope whoever our viewers are, I hope they get motivated. All you have to do is just sit at your table. You're working, you have a 2-minute break from lunch. So instead of going out for that smoke, probably what you can do is...
No, you can smoke and call.
You can smoke and call, all right? Don't smoke, trust me. Or you can just go to CGNetSwara.org and send out that email to the collector of that place where that particular voice has come out from. It's as easy as that, Rajat. Okay, so yeah, I think that's great. I think it's wonderful, and thank you so much for joining us. It's time to wrap up the show now. But Rajat, please be in touch with Shubhranshu. I know you are inspired.
I would like to.
Yes, you are inspired. I have known him for a while. I've always been inspired.
And, no, I'm getting excited.
You're getting excited? Okay, I'll wait for your call to accompany you. When you go to make that film on him. All right, thank you so much, Rajat. Thank you so much for joining us from Ranchi. Shubhranshu, we got some kind of perspective on what the project is about and what a simple thing that people like us can do to really take this forward. Thank you so much for coming all the way, squeezing out time from your busy schedule of begging, as you called it, and talking to us about this project. I wish you all the very best. and it's a great thing that you have going, and I'm sure, like Rajat, many of us are as excited and many of us will take this forward. All of you who are watching the show, please write into us your comments, your feedback, your views and your tweets. www.indiapostlive.com, #IndiaPostLive, @IndiaPostLive. Shubhranshu, once again, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very, very much for inviting me.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.